Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's customer webinar where we'll be diving into mastering accruals with Aladtec. My name is Tiffany Elwinger, and I am a technical success manager here at TCP Software. There are other members of technical success team and support here with me in this webinar, and they will assist in answering questions. I'll be your host and presenter for today's session. Our goal as a team here at TCP Software is to make sure the webinar is informative and valuable for you all, providing insights that you can use. To ensure a seamless flow, I want to let you know that we've pre-recorded the presentation portion for continuity, and I'll be starting that shortly. Once we wrap up the presentation, we'll transition into a Q&A session. Feel free to use the Q&A button to submit your questions. If by chance we can't address all of your questions during this session, we'll make sure to follow up with you afterwards. As we end the webinar, you'll receive a brief survey to gather your feedback. Your input is very important to us and helps us to improve and guide our future webinars. And finally, today's webinar is being recorded, and you will receive the recording via email for your reference. One last thing before we begin, as these webinars will be on a regular basis, some of them will be shorter and some will be longer in nature, depending on the topic that we discuss. All right, so let's get started. So let's take a look at getting started with accruals with Aladtec. So we are going to walk through the process of completely setting up and then managing them within your system. So one thing I do want to note before we get started is that these are tied to our payroll module. So if you don't have access to the payroll module, you won't see these options within your system. If this is something that you would like to look at adding to your system, you can absolutely let us know and we can connect you with someone on our team that can help you with that. So first thing, I want to show you how to get them set up. So we will click up here and then go into the setup of our account. And this will be done by an admin in the Aladtec system. So we are going to Time Off. And you can see that I've got some time off types set: vacation, sick leave, bereavement. And it's very easy if you need to add any additional ones here. You can click there and then you're able to edit the name. You also have options to have daily limits on the time off types, and then you can even block specific dates if you need to do that as well. You can also have time off types set up that you actually have in the system but are not active. And then now we're going to go over to the time off accrual profiles. So you may need to check this box here if this is the first time that you are utilizing this within the system. So you really have a lot of options here on how you set these up. You can see I've got these admin profiles and I have them based on years of service, which is the most common way that I see them set up. And then you're able to see all of the time off types that we had set up in the previous section, and you're even able to edit how they accrue. So I do often see people do hourly and they do salary to set that apart. So if we were going to set up a new profile, we'd have the ability to change the name here. And this is where we do the configurations on how we want those different time offs to accrue. And by default, they're set to do not automatically accrue. So you can only change the ones that you need to. So if we click on vacation time here, you'll see with this dropdown, we've got several options available. We can have them set to yearly, quarterly. We can even have them set up by hours worked based on the time that employees are scheduled. You'll also notice over here that some of these are red and some are gray. So the red color is just here to let you know, hey, this is already in use. So we're not going to be able to delete it from the system because we're currently accruing time offs with this profile. I will show you later in the webinar how you can actually make edits if you do need to delete this or end this and make changes. Okay, so now that we've got the basics of this set up, we will need to assign it to our members. So we are going to navigate over to members and then within the member database. And then once in here, you can actually use a preset filter that we have for accrued time off types. And just like any of the other filters that we have in our system, you can even go in and make edits and filter even further. So maybe we don't want to look at military or comp time. We can apply that, or we can even save this to as a filter that we are able to use over and over again. So now that we've got this set up to be our view, we can kind of take a look. We can see as the admin, I don't have any time off set. We can see these employees have these many hours set of vacation time. And then you can actually see this employee is in red and he's got negative vacation time. So just like editing our member database for other instances, you can actually do bulk edits. So I could select everybody and batch edit, or I can even go into employees individually and edit their time. So maybe this person, did something to get extra vacation time this year, or maybe we actually needed to subtract it. We could do that here, and then we could even put a note that will be kept and logged in the system and you can view later. We also might want to have bereavement. Maybe we don't want to actually have a profile and have that go through every year. We could actually batch edit and give everybody time right now and put it in. And then that'll automatically update all of the members in our database. So I also want to go into a specific member. Let's go into Frankie. And in his profile, we are going to be able to see down here this time off accrual section. Again, this will only be visible if you do have the payroll module. So if you're not seeing it, that might be why. So as you can see, he's got a couple of different profiles here. He's an admin and he's got 0 to 5 years of service. So we can see that he started accruing this at the beginning of the year. So the time that he's going to get his deposit for his 40 hours is going to be January 1st of the following year. And here I could go in and manually make updates if I needed to. So if maybe I needed to add some comp time, I could manually do that here and add some hours there. And again, you've got that notes section, so you can let your other schedulers know, why you put in these edits. And then here's the next profile that will take place. So once the 5-year mark takes place, that's when this next profile will go into action. And you can see that it starts, the end date and the start date are the same. So there's no gap in accruals for that. Okay, so let's go back to the member database and I can show you what it looks like to set it up for somebody that doesn't have any already. So we can take this employee here, Seth, and we can go down. He doesn't have anything set up yet. So maybe his first day is today and we need to take care of getting him set up. So maybe he's a part-time employee. We don't give him any vacation time, but we are going to give him sick leave that accrues. And we can even narrow down the accruals to 0.15 of an hour for every 20 days. So we can have this is going to be his starting date. So this is when it's actually going to start accruing. And then the profile date range is actually going to be the effective date. So we'll have the effective date be today. And then if we are going to have this be a 5-year period, we will have this be 2029. And we can have it on the same day, or a lot of people have theirs set up to accrue on the first of the year. You can do that as well. So if I actually wanted to have this accrue at the beginning of the year instead of the start date, I would just make this change here and it's going to be updated. Let me put it to, one that accrues the vacation time so you can actually see that. So if we put it back on the start date, you'll see the system automatically changes it to the 24th. And then again, like I said, if we wanted it to start on the 1st, we make that update and then it's automatically adjusting that as well. And then if we needed to add an additional profile, maybe this person was going to get promoted. You know, maybe they were hourly and then we decided that they needed a promotion. If we have this in use, again, we would see this in red. We would not be able to delete it if they had already accrued time. So the way that we would get around that is we'll come in here and we'll put a stop time. So if we needed this, if we knew that they were going to get the promotion at this date, then we could put that in here. And then now we're going to come into this new admin. And as you'll see, hold on, okay. Now you'll see it automatically populates that start date that corresponds with the end date. So now there will be no lapse in coverage. They'll have this vacation time that they accrued that will be there, but then they'll start accruing for the admin for the promotion that they got once this date hits. Okay, so now one thing I do want to show you is I want to go in and let you see how your employees are going to see this. So let me go out of here. Okay, so if I want to go over to, let's see, we'll go to Frankie. So this is going to be Frankie's account and he wants to put in a request for time off. So he's going to go over to schedules, my schedules. And then let's say he needs to add, not a trade request. He needs to submit time off. So you'll be able to select the time type. You'll be able to see if it's accrued or not. And then Frankie will be able to see how many hours that he has, how many hours that he's going to be putting in for this request, and then how many hours he has left for the accrual process. And then he can even put notes here and let you know why he's taking that time off. One thing I do want to note, it will let you take negative time off, as we had seen before. There was that employee in our member database that had negative time off. So we don't want to restrict the system because we know sometimes things come up and employees do need to take negative time off. So we don't want to restrict that in the system. So they will be allowed to do that. But I'll show you in just a second when you are looking over as a member who has access to approved time off. I'll show you what that looks like when they are asking for time and it is negative. So you can make that decision on whether you want to approve it or not. Okay, so the member has submitted the time off request. Perfect. And then if we go back into the admin profile, so now we are going to migrate over to the home page as if I had just logged in. And over here on the right for the dashboard, you'll be able to see all of the pending time off requests that you have. So if we were to click on one of these, again, it's going to look a lot like what the member sees. So you'll be able to see what they have accrued, what they're taking with this request, and then the hours that they're going to have left after you approve it. And this is what I was talking about. This right here, this would be in red with a negative sign. So you would be able to very easily visualize the time off, and that it was negative. So, and then you can approve or deny the request. And then once again, you're able to put any notes that you want to have that can be saved in the system to approve the time off. And that's really so we have a historical record of any edits that are made.
Okay, that was our presentation. So if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A and we can get them answered. So let me get started with some of the questions that I see. Can you provide members access to see other members' balances? And the answer to that is that the default functionality allows members to only view their own balances. So I can show you what that looks like. Nancy, if you'll just let me share my screen really quickly. Okay, so if we go into the reports section and then individual member, as an admin, you have the ability to actually go into any of your members' profiles, but members who don't have this access will just see their own information. So they can actually see, let me switch it over to someone who has some. So they can actually see this section with time off accrual, and they'll be able to see what they've had and if they've had any changes to their accruals. So you can see here, I was just testing and I was removing some. So like I mentioned in the recording, there's a log, so you would be able to see changes that are made to the system. And so individual members will only be able to see their specific hours, but you do have an option within access levels that you can give certain access levels the ability to see all of the members' accrual banks if you need to do so. Another great question that I see in the chat is, what happens if you cancel a time off request? So that is a great question. So let's say we are going to the schedule view and we can see that Perry has requested some time off. If this has already been approved in the system, it will immediately deduct it from their bank. So they'll know what they have left with the scheduled time off that they've gotten approved. If I were to approve the time off and then at a later point I were to go and cancel it, it would automatically add those hours back to the employee's profile. So there wouldn't have to be any manual work there. Okay, so Brian, that's a great question. Can you batch all members accrual if they are all the same, or do you have to go in and add each manually? So as far as batch editing, the only way to do that is to do it here and give them hours here by batch editing. If you want to actually go in and assign the profiles, that does have to be on a manual basis by going in and then assigning the profiles here. Matt also has a great question. Can an accrual rate have a max accrual overall? That's a great question. Currently at this time, we don't have it set up to where there is a max accrual. So the way that my customers have been handling this in the past is you can filter by their vacation time and say 100 hours is the max that they're allowed. I can just go in and batch edit however many I need to, and then I can subtract and say, you know, maxed hours reached. And then it'll immediately adjust all of those. And hopefully that answered your follow-up question as well. Okay, let me take a look at some of the other questions that we have in there. Are sick time accruals different than vacation time? Can you have two active profiles for one member? Okay, let me go back into the settings and we'll go into time off. Yes, so you can set up to have, let me edit one that's not in use so we can go in and edit it. Okay, you can have different accruals for each of these. So for vacation time, I can have it start at the beginning of the year. And then for this one, if I want it to accrue monthly, a certain percentage of hours per month, I can do that there as well. You have to have each of those within the same profile though, because you can't have overlapping profiles. So hopefully that makes sense, Matt. If not, you can definitely reach out to our support and we can further explain that. Or Dominic, I'm sorry. Let's see. I think we have time for a few more questions. Let me take a look and see what we've got here. What happens if the profiles overlap? So that kind of goes along with what I was just talking about, and you can't have overlapping profiles. So if I actually go in and try to set it up where I have profiles that are overlapping, and then I try to save it. Oh, well, it should, I must have not be overlapping them then. Oh yeah, it's creating profiles for different time periods. If I did try to make this where it was conflicting with these profiles that are set up here, and then I go back up to the top and save, I'm going to get an error message saying that I am not allowed to have overlapping profiles. So the system is going to restrict it in that way. Okay, let me see. I think we probably have time for maybe one or two more questions. Okay, this is a great question. What happens if you don't want the leave to end? So let's say that you have this, but maybe after 10 years, you know, it's just, so if you were to leave this blank whenever you first set it up, so if I were to add a new profile and this is blank, that will just accrue this profile indefinitely. So there won't be an end to that. That was a great question. Okay, one more question. I think we'll wrap it up. Can an individual's current bank information be inserted onto a form? That is a great question. And I'm not, we might have to follow up with that one there. I don't believe that it can, but there might be some ways that you could do it with custom fields to be able to import it, but we'll reach out to you and get back to you on that one, Honor. That's a great question. Okay, I think that about wraps up all the time that we had today. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. I do want to remind everyone that a survey will be sent out after this, and it's a great time for you to give us feedback and let us know if there are other things that you would like to see in future webinars. As always, you can go to our website under our webinar section and see all of the future webinars that we have. And I just want to say, thank you for taking time out of your day to be part of the webinar. And we'll send you an invitation for the next one that we have. And have a great day.